Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about Word. I've pinned it to the taskbar, so I'm going to open it up from here. If you don't know how to pin to the taskbar, all you do is you open up the application, you right click, and it will say pin to taskbar. Because it's already there, that's why it's saying unpin. So now that Word's opened, you can start from a general format that you like. So if you want to do some sort of event or something, or you have a to-do list, you're like, oh, that looks pretty good, you could just click on this, it'll download it from the online, and it will start, you can start editing this. But in this tutorial, we're going to cover the basics, so I'm going to start from a blank tutorial. And if you want, you could type in anything here. Like, you could type in calendar, click search, or you could press enter, and it'll find all types of calendars. It's not just what's in your view. So it's really nice. But we're gonna basically click the blank document. So I'm gonna cover the basics of Word, at least what I see most people using and myself, the most common features of it. So obviously you have the font type, the size of the font, bold, italic, underline, strike line. You can do subscript, superscript. That's for like equations and stuff most of the time. Highlighting, change the color of the font, whether you want to center it, whether you want to add numbering or bullets. These are also important, but these like headings and stuff, you use that for table of contents, which I'll go over. But let's go ahead and start. Let's say, hey guys, how's it going? Okay, so let's say I wanted to make this bigger. So I could highlight this. I could also hold the shift character and hit home on the keyboard, which would do the same thing. I tend to use lots of shortcuts to speed up time. So I'll go over some of the shortcuts that I use also. But basically, if I want to change the font of this, I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to change this to this font, band shrift. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's like, hey, I want to bold it. Control B is also bold. So if you hit Control B, it's a toggle switch basically. And then if you want to take it to the center, also Control E. You see that it shows you the shortcut as well. So you could see that, hey, how's it going? And let's say I wanted to make it bigger, make it size 20. And then let's say I wanted to type something below it, and I wanted to say, it's going great. Now by default, it's gonna take the last used font and size, and basically the last used format. But let's say if you wanted to change it back to like some standard format and say, I don't even know what to type. I don't even know what to type. There it is. And then, you know, keep on typing, say more stuff. And then you're like, I actually want this to go to this format. So you're like, okay, well, let me click here. So it's going to show you here what type of font and size it is. And then you're going to go here, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to change this to this band shrift. And then I think it was size 20. Yes, it was size 20. So I'm going to highlight this, go to size 20. And if there was anything else, let's say this was like highlighted or something, you're like, oh, okay, I also want to highlight it. Well, I just did 3 steps to do that, right? Now if I hit Control Z, that's gonna undo my steps. And you're like, you know what, I really like this. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna select, just even one character would be enough, but just select a little bit, click on Format Painter, and then highlight what you want to make that style. So if I want to make this entire line that style, I just highlight it, let go, and it'll automatically do that for me. So it's like a time saver. So if this was like, let's say, underlined, and I did that, and I clicked Format Painter, well, whatever I select, it's gonna apply that same exact format. So format painter is really very important. Alright, next thing that's important is when you're doing numbering. So Office even automates some of this stuff for you. So if you do like 1, it automatically, see the fact that it shifted it, it automatically did it for you. So you could say, okay, first task, let's just say, instead of saying first task, let's just say go to store, buy some almond milk, and get some broccoli. And so it's gonna automatically do this for you. Now if you hit tab, it's gonna go to the next tab, so indicating like, oh, it's 3A. It's like, what kind of broccoli? Oh, green broccoli. Well, is there any other kinds? I don't know. And then you're like, well, how do I start back from number 4? So what you do is you could either click this button, or you can hit this button to go back in, or you can do tab or hold shift and then press tab, and then holding shift again, press tab. So those are some shortcuts you can do. Let's see, this paragraph thing shows you like the indentations and all the little dots and spaces and stuff. So that's more, you don't really ever need to turn that on. It's only if something is tabbed or spaced or something, it's easier to see with that on. Okay, if you wanted to insert some icons or something, you could click on icons, and then you're like, I want this envelope icon, and then you click insert, and then you're like, okay, I can drag and drop. I mean, I can resize this, I can like move it, whatever. So you could do a whole bunch of stuff. You can insert shapes, like if you want to draw arrows to stuff. You can insert a blank page, a cover page. Another common thing that's used is equations. I really like this feature. So if you click on this, it'll automatically insert one for you and show you the tabs. Or if you click on the bottom version, it'll actually just show you some options of something. So let's say the Pythagorean theorem instead. But while you're in this equation format, notice that it gets shaded. So you actually have lots of options. So I go to this 12, and I could type letters here. I could type letters here. I could highlight this entire thing, and then click on. See, when this is highlighted, this, whatever you're selecting, something will pop up telling you can modify that. So I'm going to click on equation tools, and let's see, I'm going to make this a fraction. So I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to just type in whatever, y here. And then you can do the same thing. You can do so much stuff. Like then you could do like that. I'm not even typing these equations correctly. But I'm just, you guys are just, you understand what I'm doing. Like I'm basically, within this box you can modify stuff. If you want to do calculus, if you want to put it like an integral, you can even erase everything here. You can go to insert, again, put an equation. You could just click on the basic one. This will pop up. You can click on the integral. You know, do you want no limits, or do you want limits? Let's say limit from 0 to 1 from x. Let's say we're going to do x squared dx. So there it is. So that's very nice. It's honestly really nice that you could do that, because without the equations, I don't even know if you can do this without the equations. Layouts for like margins, if you want narrower margins to print out, like if you're trying to squeeze some more stuff in, you could click on this. It'll make your margins more narrow. Orientation is for portrait and landscape. You don't use this stuff too often. Inside references, I think table of contents is another important thing that's used. So I hit Control Shift Home, and that highlighted everything. Then I click Delete to delete everything. Okay, so let's make this. Let's add a cover page. Okay, let's click on this and let's just say how cars are very helpful. And you could type in your name here. You could type in whatever you want. You could type in your name here. These are basically, it lets you click this and then type anything else like, I don't know, I like cars. The date, you can click this because it's a date, because it's a template. You can actually click this drop down and then pick today. You can type in your name. You don't have to type in your name. Let's just say I'll type in land pet. You can type in your address. You don't have to. You can click on this. You can click escape, and then you could click delete, and that will just disappear. So back to home, you could click on heading 1, and then you could say transportation. Let's say we're going to type in transportation. Let's say I want to cover 2 topics, and then let's say I want to call the other one comfort in life. Comfort in life. Oh, by the way, if you hold Control, so if you delete like this, it'll take 4. Clicking backspace to delete it. Or if you hold Control before you hit backspace, it'll delete the entire word. So it's very easy. It speeds things up. Okay, so the reason why I clicked heading 1 is you'll find out in a bit, because that will let us put a table of contents, and a table of contents will automatically update when these go to new pages. So, and I'll put a heading 2, and let's just call this one cars, and let's call this one trucks. Oh, I need to make that a heading 2 as well. And then let's just say for cars, you want to write something, say like, you know, cars make life much easier. They transport people and small goods. So like you wouldn't need a truck to like go to the store and buy, you know, some bananas or something and, you know, take it home, or some groceries or whatever. So, and then trucks, let's just say they transport heavier goods. Let's just say you're writing some essay or something. And then comfort in life, well, you know, with a horse, it would be much more difficult to go grocery shopping compared to a car. Let's just say for most people, it doesn't necessarily have to be for everyone. This might be easier for a horse for some people, but I think in my case, a car for me is much easier. Anyways, so you wrote this stuff. The reason why I used heading 1 and heading 2 is because we're going to go to insert. We're going to insert a blank page, and then we're going to click here, and we're going to go to references, and we're going to click table of contents, and we're going to insert our contents. Now see, automatically it picked up the headings, and if there was a subheading, it would pick that up. And let's say if I wanted to add one more heading, and let's just say I wanted to add boats, right? So I'd click home, I'd click heading 2, I'd type in boats, and I'd say, you know, boats are great because we can, I don't know, sail over the oceans. And now all you have to do, because you added this later, it doesn't matter because the table of contents is automatic. So when you click on this, you just click update table, and you click update entire table because you actually added a new heading, and so it's going to pick that up. Now this is the page number. Now let's say this was on a new page. Let's just do this manually by pressing enter. and then you're like, well, it's not showing up on page 3. Well, all you have to do is click on this and then just say page numbers, and I'll update it to 3. And so that's the beauty about using these automatic functions, because when you update, everything gets updated. Now we're going to insert pages. Inserting pages are also something that's pretty common. So I usually insert them at the bottom of the page. So I'm going to click on footer. And I like this style, page 1, because it says PG on it. But self-explanatory. So now whatever you do, you're going to be in this footer section. So if you want to get out of this section, all you have to do is basically just like double click. And now you're out. And now every time you insert a new page, let's do insert a blank page, it's going to automatically increment the number for you. So these things are like automatic. Just makes your job, makes your life easier, I guess. So we covered that, equations. Oh, track changes. Track changes are nice. So let's say it's 2 people working on a document. You click on review, and then you click on track changes. Okay? And now let's say you give it to your friend, and then your friend is gonna, it's 2 people working on a single project. So your friend's gonna make some changes. But instead of him remembering the changes for you to review, when you turn on track changes, it automatically, anything you type now, it's gonna save, and it's gonna show you with like a little red line for that line that was modified. So let's just say electric cars are coming now, and they have monstrous torque, 0 lag for acceleration. Okay, so let's just say we said that, and then we're like, okay, so we're good. So all we have to do is when we send it to our friend, he's gonna see that, and when he clicks on the red line, it's gonna show you, it's gonna highlight what was changed. Now let's say if I wanted to delete transport people and small goods, let's say I wanted to delete people, it would also show that, oh, people was erased from this sentence. So it makes it easy, but when you're printing it out, it's totally fine, because this is not going to show up. And let's just say I see this and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to click accept. So that's going to be accepted. I'm going to click accept here, and it's going to say, okay, so I reviewed the entire document. I can also reject it. So it's just like, it makes life easier, because then you see what happened, and now it's saying like this is wrong, and then I'm gonna accept that one too, and there we go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and turn off track changes. Another important thing, common thing I should say, that's used is figures. So let's say we wanted to insert a table. So let's say we wanted to do car 1, 500 horsepower, $45,000. Car 2, 430 horsepower, $44,000. And car 3, 356 horsepower, and that was $34,000. Let's just say. So if we click this and highlight the entire table, if you click on references and do insert caption, figure 1, you could pick a name, but figure 1 is fine. You can click Control E to put that figure in the center, or you could come here and then press this button basically to put it in the center. And so let's say you wanted to reference this table. Now instead of typing figure 1 shows the cost of the cars and their horsepower, if you type in figure 1, you can't go to this table. People will know what you're talking about, it'll be fine. but it's so much better if you actually click on insert, either insert or references. You click on cross-reference, or if you're an insert, you cross-reference. And then when you select figure, it'll show you this. So then you could either put the entire caption, or if you had like a whole title and everything, you could just do label and number, which would just show figure 1 instead of like figure 1 car data. If you had that, in this case I just have that, so I just have figure 1, so either way it's going to show just figure 1. So when I do that, I inserted this. So notice when I put the mouse, I hover the mouse over the text, it says control click to go to it. So if I hold control, it shows like the hand icon, and if I click, it'll take me straight to figure 1. And that's the case even if it's on like another page. I'm like, oh, figure 1, what are they talking about? Boom, right here. So that's what it is. So that's another like super important thing. And if you wanted to insert links, like let's say you wanted to insert a link to go to some website, let's just pick Google, just because Google's easy. So I click on insert link, and I type in www.google.com. It already knows. And so if I held control, it'd do the same thing. And if I clicked, it would go to the website. Okay, so that pretty much just leaves the saving the file and printing it. So all we have to do is basically click Control S, or do file save, or click this little floppy disk icon on the top left. If you do that, I already saved this, but if I want to save it as something else, I just click on Save As. Documents, how cars are very helpful, just click Save, and there you go. If you wanted to print it, hit Control P. If you wanted to print it double-sided, if your printer supports that, you could do that here. You could change the margins here. Pretty much customize the way you want to print it, and you should be good with that. And if you want to save it as something else, you could save it as something else and completely just call it like 11111, whatever. Save that. If you wanted to change the format, so by default it saves it as a docx. If you wanted to save it for older versions of Office to open it, you could save it as a .doc. You could save it as a PDF. You could save it as like a website style, but usually like PDF and docx are usually what people pick, docx being number 1 choice. So we click save, and then if we wanted to open it, we just do Control O, and it would automatically show us like the most recent document. So you just click that, and it would reload it, and you should be good to go. So that pretty much covers the basics of Word 2019. It's also very similar to most of the words really from 2010, I think, or 2007, with this ribbon style. But thank you guys for your time.